Hey everybody, thank you all for coming. Today's show is sponsored by coffee, and I haven't had enough yet, so thank you all for being here. Let's go, let's talk about all the good stuff happening in the Bitcoin world. Some incredibly breaking news, a whole bunch of TA charts, so we get a feel for where we're on. And yes, I realize things aren't moving as fast as people would like, but we'll get to that as well. Shout out to Patreon that make all this possible. GD, yay, glad I joined Patreon. Best investment in myself ever. Thank you for being part of the team. Let's go. Bitcoin Only playlist will be here afterwards. And again, I know folks are bored. It's like, come on, do something. And we're in this range, the 61 to 63K range that just doesn't end ever. But this thing's brewing under the scenes. We'll talk about those in a minute too. So thank you as well to TND Tesla and Kate for being in the chat. And anybody else, let's talk about the news first. This is kind of something I wrote yesterday briefly. My theory for the week is the 13Fs are getting a lot of attention. These are all the filings made where funds, etc., have to basically every quarter say what they have bought and sold. And this could potentially, I believe, trigger some institutional FOMO. I also believe the Grayscale bleed will continue to slow. By the way, that was before the release yesterday, which we'll get to as well. And the volume for Grayscale is really low compared to BlackRock. It was only 16% of BlackRock yesterday, which I thought was interesting. I do expect positive net flows this week into the ETFs. And most non-ETF cohorts will go back to stacking. That means everybody in the traditional world, beyond the ETFs. So let's go. Another breaking piece of news, which is very, very important. We thought it would be, a year or more before the pension funds come in. Okay, there's pension funds and there's pension funds. And then there's ultra conservative pension funds. Most pension funds on the planet have a hole. The clever ones know the only way to plug that hole is with a hard, pristine asset. Anybody drop a comment below if they know of any hard, pristine assets out there? Let me know. But this is huge. Just in the state of Wisconsin, investment board disclosed it holds almost $100 million of BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF. $100 million. That is non-trivial. This will get attention. All the other state pension funds in the country, which is 50 of them or whatever, and there's many others. There's like firemen pension funds and teachers pension funds and police department pension funds. These groups have massive amounts of money. The fact that this pension fund in Wisconsin has allocated $100 million is bonkers. All right. Now, I'm not the only one stunned by this. Eric Balchunas also blown away. Wow. A state pension fund bought IBIT in the first quarter. Normally, you don't get these big fish institutions in the 13Fs for a year or so. And when the ETF gets more liquidity, but as we've seen, there are no ordinary launches. Good sign. Expect more as institutions like this tend to move in herds. They are sheep. They follow each other. They all have holes, especially places like Chicago. Massive funds. California CalPERS. You've got CalPERS in California investing in VC funds because they're so desperate for alpha. This is going to be amazing. It's going to take time, but definitely heads turned based on this. So I also analyzed all of the 85 days to calculate the average flow per day since ETF inception. And what is the best day? Today is the best day over the 85 days. These are the average ETF flows per day. Remember, Monday, 197 million. Tuesday, 264 million. Wednesday, 116 million. Thursday, 132 million. Friday, 177 million. It's amazing. Hump day is the weakest day, and Tuesday is the strongest day for tacos and Bitcoin, which is awesome. Now, what's also incredible, look at these numbers. Right now, it only takes $27 million to buy the entire supply of 450 Bitcoin, which is the daily issuance. 27 million. Tuesday is 10x that in terms of ETF flows alone. What happens, again, you've heard me say this before, when the world starts buying it? And who the heck is selling right now? Anyway, it's only a matter of time before things pop off. Now, shout out as well to, this is a guy called Mark Cuban, billionaire. He believes this will be the first US Bitcoin election where crypto is on the ballot. And I've mentioned this before, but for big people like him to chime in on this, again, will get attention. It is not the time to be anti-crypto if you are seeking any type of re-election. It's like Bitcoin is the cockroach that won't go away. You embrace it or you die. It's that simple. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out up over the next few months, especially into the fall, which is like September onwards, into November when the election is on. And there's money liquidity coming too. But more, let's talk about a bit of Bitcoin history, which I think is super cool from Rizzo, the way he pulls these things up. Exactly 4 years ago today, J.K. Rowling said, "I don't understand Bitcoin. Please explain it to me." And again, the best charts, the best explanations are always the simplest ones. Voldemort is central banking, and Harry is Bitcoin. Now, I don't know what Voldemort is, but I think it's the villain, and Harry is probably the good guy. Don't read the books. I think I know, but I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was brilliant. I assume central banks are the evil players. And there are still people that have to get up and pound the table all of the psyops about how bad Bitcoin is. This guy, Dave Ramsey from Bitcoin Therapist, mentioned this. Bitcoin should not be held long-term, and it's nothing more than a speculation. And it doesn't even belong in an investment portfolio. As Robert Breedlove says, Bitcoin is an IQ test. You get it at the price you deserve. This guy Ramsey, probably a real estate guy or something, is saying it doesn't belong in a portfolio. And then you got the state of Wisconsin pension fund allocating $100 million to it. Yeah. Okay. You can figure out who's right and who's wrong. Now, back to Bitcoin mining. I will be doing a Bitcoin mining update. It takes a lot of time to pull the stuff together, but a lot of people were excited by a story that flew around yesterday where somebody got an allocation of 3.8 Bitcoin in a mining reward. Just an individual miner. This stuff sometimes happens. But from this long thread on Reddit, which I found very interesting, this fellow spent one whole Bitcoin in August 2021 on 6 mining rigs, S19J Pros, which are pretty good as well. And I won't make you read all that, but I will kind of break it down and summarize it for you real carefully. This is the result of exactly what happened. And I've always said mining is a cutthroat business. No ifs, ands, or buts. But in August 2021, they spent 1 Bitcoin on these 6 miners, $7,500 each. Electricity started at 6 kilowatts, 6 cents per kilowatt hour, and increased to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. You'll notice the grids all around the world are increasing their electricity prices, part of inflation, part of the upgrade costs, etc. And the miners themselves are no longer profitable to run, so they're only worth $500 each. So the miners have tanked in value from $7,500 each to $500, and they lost 0.95 Bitcoin on the hardware cost alone. Out of the 0.9 Bitcoin mined over 3 years and all the work, which isn't even accounted for here, 0.7 Bitcoin went to electricity costs, and their initial investment of 1 Bitcoin resulted in only 0.2 Bitcoin of revenue and 0.05 Bitcoin worth of hardware and a 75% loss. So if a lot of people are pinging me over the last couple of days, Chewy, etc., I want to get into mining. I want to get 3.8 Bitcoin. It's a cutthroat business, everybody. Super difficult. And why? A quick summary as to why. High upfront costs for the mining hardware, increasing electricity costs over time, diminishing value of the mining hardware, difficulty recouping the initial investment because of inflation and cost, etc., and thin or negative profit margins due to electricity costs. Again, don't jump in unless you have the scale, modern equipment, and a way to finance them. Let's look at a whole bunch of charts right now today. Now, first of all, shout out to James from Check on Chain. This is the short-term holder cost basis, and it's a key key number that I've been hammering home. Yeah, Red Baron. When would I get time to read Harry Potter? I heard it's a thick book. Or is it Lord of the Rings that's thick? One of them is very thick. Anyway, they're not my style of book. Anyway, short-term holder cost basis is $60,000. 128-day moving average, 57.7. 200-day moving average, 51.2. And the key here is this short-term holder cost basis typically acts as support. And buying at this level in a bull market is considered okay. Now, if this breaks and we tank below it, a lot of people are calling for 50,000 and 42,000 again. If that happens, the bull market's probably over. So watch it carefully. I don't think the bull market's over by no stretch, especially with pension funds buying in. Now, this from Plan B. Miner revenue typically recovers 2 to 5 months after the halving. I took this chart, Plan B. I hope you don't mind. I added some arrows just so people actually see. And you can see here how after the halving, which are the black vertical lines, there is a dip in the RSI for the miner revenue. And this happens again after the halving. And this, guess what happens after this dip? Things go bonkers, at least historically, every single time they did. And the first halving, second halving, third halving, fourth halving right now. So this is another sign that we are kind of close to bottoming, and how everything ties back as well to the Bitcoin miners. Now, let's talk about this one from Tardigrade. A symmetrical triangle shape. We have broken out of the symmetrical triangle, and it's perfectly retesting the apex of this symmetrical triangle. So again, will this 61,500 hold? If it does, and hold at this level, it will send things higher afterwards. That's just how it works. Thank you, staff, so much for coming. But there's a whole bunch more TA for us to look at. And again, watch these key levels, watch the short-term holder cost basis, watch this apex, this symmetrical triangle at 61.5. Very, very important levels. Now, realized volatility. A lot of people are saying, oh my, Bitcoin's so volatile. No, not at all. Again, from Check on Chain, empirically speaking, Bitcoin's volatility is decreasing over time. And despite all the narratives and complaints by critics to the contrary, it's simply not true. If we go back to 2017, your realized volatility was 120 to 150%. 2021, the last cycle, it was 80 to 100%. This time around, it's 40 to 60%. It's a lot less volatile. So don't believe the so-called experts out there. Look at the data. It has all the answers. And from Bach as well, we have an inverse head and shoulders. And it looks like this recent pullback is closing in on its end with a nice, what some people call an IHS pattern, inverse head and shoulders forming. And if you look at all the stuff that's happened over the past few weeks, there was a little liquidity hit and a little boost as well. And also big selling from Grayscale, which I think is at an end. And now we're seeing money flow tick positive. And these positive inflows will help Bitcoin. And if you look at the rest of 2024, it's looking extremely bullish in terms of more liquidity coming into the system. And again, this is a positive factor for Bitcoin, the S&P 500 and the QQQ and disruption and everything else. So a lot of people, again, are frustrated. But remember, these are the times when the markets are so frustrating that causes people to leave. And there could not be a worse time to leave, everybody. Now, the Zaff also has an inverse head and shoulders here with a breakout target of 72,000 if we can get above that 68K level. And again, higher highs, higher lows. The chart shows the Bitcoin forming these exact things. And these typically create an upward trend, especially in a bull market. And this is a classic sign of a bullish market. And the price action appears to be forming, again, another inverse head and shoulders. That's the head in the middle. And this pattern typically is bullish, and it signifies bottoms as well. We need to get to that 68K, and then once we get to 68K, it'll go straight to 73, and that'll be a new all-time high after that. Remember, 10 days of the year are what matters for Bitcoin. All the action happens in 10 days every year. It's not the time to be cute and be out of the market. And another cool chart here. This is again from Check on Chain. We are quiet and trending. Okay, this is the consolidation period. It typically lasts 70 to 90 days. These are historic periods of 90 days. It's a price high, low, and range. Again, we're in that quiet and trending range. And after that, we get volatility and trending. So the question is, will this pattern continue? Odds are pretty high it will. Let's look at the ETF numbers real quick and then let you guys get back to your day. Day 85 raw numbers. You can see here, not a lot happened. That should be BITB for the 20.3 million, not IBIT. Tiny mistake from me there. I just see it right now. HODL had 7.1 million. Overall, zero grayscale dumpage, 66 million inflow, which is great news for the space. Green line is grayscale, which is where all the Bitcoin came from. All of the other ETFs are net positive so far over the last 85 days, but not a lot of action. But again, just like this chart, we are consolidating and trending. And after all the news of all the pension funds and all the other 13F filings and over 400 banks allocating to Bitcoin, the rest will follow like sheep. And remember, Tuesday is the best flow day, so I expect a good flow today. Again, if history repeats, I only have 85 days of analysis, but it tends to be pretty accurate so far. Total money flow, again, plus 66, above that pink trend, which is good. Again, it's been quiet now for 40 days. We'll wait for the fireworks to come. Grayscale had the joint second best day ever. They had one positive day of 36 million and then 2 0 days. But still, we'll take it as a win. And net visual, yesterday, 1,049 Bitcoin were pulled from the system. And remember, only 3 funds allocated a little bit. And it pulled 1,049 Bitcoin from the system, and only 450 are issued today. And more fans are coming to the space. That's it for now. I'll be back in a couple of hours with Okta. Thank you so much. If you learned something new, hit the like. That's all I ask. Thanks, everybody. And thank you to the mods in the chat, and I'll see you all later today. Bye-bye.